TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the TruthSeekah podcast. I'm your host, TruthSeekah, excited and delighted to be with you guys again for another episode of the TruthSeekah podcast, man. Ooh, a lot going on with these holidays, and I've been off with the family for a week, and a lot of really cool stuff going on. Just interviewed the mom from E.T. and got to talk to her about aliens and spiritual healing and all of that really cool stuff. So make sure you guys go back and check that episode out. It was a really beautiful one, brought a lot of stuff to the table, and just blows my mind that I got to talk to the mom from E.T., Dee Wallace, about aliens and UFOs. It was beautiful. Awesome. Go check it out. Can't go any further without saying a huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys mean the world to me. I would not be able to do this without your help. I want to make that clear. The further we move out and some of the opportunities that come forth, some of the fees and things like that, being able to produce a show like this and pay for the hosting and stuff like that, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money too. And so I wouldn't be able to do this without your help. And I just want to put it out there that within the next month or so, my podcasting fees are going to triple. So your support really means the world for me to continue pushing forward, expanding into new territories and things like that. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Everybody who's been supporting from day one. And I'm going to give a shout out to some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. So shout out to Melissa Pincelli. Thank you, Melissa, for coming on. Hunter Hughes, shout out to you, brother. And thank you guys for believing in the work and partnering with what I have going on here. If you'd like to support, go to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, which is like 200 plus songs, all talking about the type of information and spirituality and manifestation and all of these kind of things that we talk about on the podcast. So there's music that kind of accompanies that. When I work on a new song, it's immediately uploaded to Patreon as well. And I've kind of got bit by the bug again. It's time to work on some new music. So you'll be getting some new stuff here soon if you're a patron over there, months before it's available to the general public. Also, you get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, which is the community aspect to what we're building here with the podcast. So we got some really cool people in our community, some people who are in it for the long haul. So if you're looking for community to build and people to discuss like-minded belief systems and things like that, School of the Mystics is a great place to check it out. So patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Check it out. Also, you get access to my guided meditations and interactive stuff that we have there as well. The book is just over a month old, Spirit Realm Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God. Make sure you check this book out if you haven't yet. Thank you guys for all the support, making this book a success as well. It's available on my website, TruthSeekah.com. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and everybody who's already exploding in the chat rooms and wherever you're watching. You guys are awesome too. You guys make the show a success as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into today's conversation. We're going to be talking about manifestation. We're going to be talking about gratitude, creating the best life for yourself, all of those good things. My guest today is Stephanie James. Stephanie, welcome to the TruthSeekah podcast, my friend. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
You just released a book and covering all of these topics and spirituality and manifestation and how to reclaim the mind to kind of live that best life that you want for yourself, and that it is within your reach, right?
Absolutely. That we all have that divine spark within us. And so it's sometimes it's unearthing it. Sometimes it's rediscovering that it's never left us. It's always there, just lying in wait. And so that's part of the hope of the book is getting back in touch with our inner spark.
Awesome. So I guess for people who don't really know who you are, just kind of give a quick intro of who you are and what you bring to the table. You're a podcaster as well, and
I am
radio host. So if you want to just kind of give a brief bio, then we'll just jump into some conversation.
Sure. Yeah. So my joke is that I'm a psychotherapist by day, radio show host by night. But that's the truth. I've been in the mental health field for 30 years, and I have a private practice here in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I'm a trauma specialist, and I work with anxiety and trauma and depressive disorders. And I have my own radio show and podcast called The Spark with Stephanie James, which is about igniting your best life. And that's been my mission. I really became aligned with my purpose about 13 years ago, where I realized my purpose was to put as much love and healing into the world as possible. And so these have been amazing mediums in which to do so.
Yeah, you've had some really cool people on your podcast as well. Bruce Lipton, I listened to that one, was an amazing interview.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, talk about gifts. That's been one of the joys, is the amazing people that have continued to come on. Larry Dossey, gosh, I mean, the list is so huge. Larry Dossey, Jacob Lieberman, Misa Hopkins, so many people that are thought leaders and change makers that are really making it happen and bringing that consciousness and awareness into the world.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about that spark and trauma, moving past all that stuff. Like, you know, I think the psychotherapy, I've talked to a handful of psychotherapists, and it really melds and mixes with spirituality or spiritual practice to kind of get past those traumas and understanding the way the mind works and unlocking some of the dormant abilities that we have within the mind. Is that some of the stuff that you talk about in the book?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's through my own experience as well. I think the book also shares my experience, clients' experience, and a lot of these presenters, but it really is, as we move through our own wounds and go towards healing, we can become then the conduit. I think that we clear out then for spirit, for the divine to work through us. So our own healing actually becomes our greatest gift to the world.
Where's that healing come from? Is it from within? Is it from without? Is it AA? We have to have a higher power. Is it Christianity? We need to believe in Christ or anything like that. One thing I will say that there's a beautiful connection there for me is, like, I study the scriptures and have definitely a bridge between Christianity and spirituality and mysticism and things like that. And there's a verse in the book of John where it says that Jesus was the light of the world who lights every man that comes into the world. So it's this spark or this light that we all have within us. And so there's a connection there that I see. How do we find healing? Because I've talked to many people who are practitioners. They're spread out through many religions, many spiritual beliefs. There's a similarity there when it comes to walking through some of this stuff. Where's the healing come from, though?
You know, I really appreciate you saying all of that, Derek. I think the healing really, this is my own personal belief. I think it does lie within us, but it also is bigger than us. And so it is that piece. I think we, regardless of religion, I do believe that there is a higher power, whether we call it spirit or God, some people call it the universe. But when we get aligned with what that is, and I think part of the healing it's twofold. It comes from going within. I think doing meditation, mindfulness practice, realizing that we're not separate from that spark that you're speaking of, that divine spark really lives within us. And as we access it, and I think there's a part too, in my own experience, which has been surrendering to that higher power. Because I know for myself, when I try to just push my will and I try to just say, I want things to go my way, and I forget that connection to the divine, stuff gets messed up. Stuff doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And so part of that healing, I think, is surrendering to that there really is this bigger love and this bigger consciousness that is holding us.
Yeah.
And so as we surrender to that and allow that divine guidance to come through us, I love to think of it as like our internal GPS. When we surrender to that, things start aligning.
Yeah.
We are able to find that healing, and serendipitously things start showing up to help support that healing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's crazy to think of that. It's like, but there is a bit of a dichotomy there, because some people will say, okay, I just give it to God. I just trust God and come whatever. But it's like, there's that aspect too, but there's this other aspect of working with God, working with the creator, the spirit, the universe, whatever. And, like we have a say so in the matter of achieving. Like, we don't just like set it and forget it. There's some things that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get to the bottom and seek healing and, birth manifestation, understand the laws of the universe, the law of attraction, universal laws and things like that. But once we understand that, we kind of turn the switch from default to being present in the moment and finding out that we're already great manifestors already, even if we're living in this life that's full of hurt, trauma and defeat and things like that. Like, we've kind of manifested some of those things kind of by default because of setting, if you will. But once you become conscious of it, you work with the creator to kind of build this life that you want for yourself, those dreams and visions that you've had since you was a child, right?
Right. And I love that you say that, because I do believe that we are co-creators with God. We are co-creators. And part of that, though, is, yes, you nailed it. It's being in the present moment. It is surrendering, and exactly that. I start off almost every morning doing a prosperity mindset, where I am exactly that. I'm aligning with, number one, gratitude. Absolutely being thankful for all the many gifts, whether they're small. Sometimes I'm just thankful. I start every morning off by just saying, dear God, I'm thankful for being alive this day. I'm thankful for my breath.
Yep.
And moving from, like you said, it's what do I want to manifest today? So what I want to do is what part of what I say every day is, dear God, let me hear your voice. Let me speak the words that you would have me say and do the things that you would have me do. And also looking at, what do I want to create? How can I serve today? I want to ask myself those high quality, essential questions. So I am aligning my mind, aligning my spirit.
Yeah.
And I am bringing those then gifts through into my day.
So it's interesting, because you have these ideas that you want to create and that you want to communicate to people. And we set the day with an intention and focus, and I want to manifest this. I want to do this good podcast. I want to encourage people, but still be open for synchronicities, for new signs, like you said, because we already got this path and we know how it's going to go, but be open to the new experiences that kind of keep the awe and wonder of life just kind of flowing, and all the synchronicities that kind of doors begin to open that you don't have to force open, when before you had to force them open, and then the universe kind of works with you, if you will, once you're in that divine flow, right?
Exactly. I mean, when we're living by heart and we are open to that, I really do believe that is when all the synchronicities show up, and they do guide our way. So I love that you're saying it's like, and I love it. One of the things that I affirm every day is, thank you for the miracles that show up this day, because they do. And when we look towards the day, with a mind and a heart of wonder, it is amazing what
Yeah.
shows up for us.
Now, what about this is the interesting thing, timing when it comes to manifestation. Like sometimes it's almost instantly. Like there's times where I'll like just kind of it be in my prayer closet with God, and I'll say like I'll just kind of I'll ask the Father, and then I'll start declaring them as they're already happening, because they're I don't
Yes.
believe in space and time. So I'm like, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for, there was a situation where I was wanting to do some more concerts, and I kind of sought the Father on it, and I began to kind of speak it into my life. And then within an hour, I got an email, hey, we'd love for you to open up for this major recording artist. And I'm like, wow. Now there's some things like the people knew who I was, and I was a good fit for the position. I could move tickets, and there's some things that coming in, but it's like, once we put it out there, we kind of set it and forget it. But there's a timing thing. Maybe sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. But I find that like when we're trying to learn the lessons, no matter where we are, what situation, learning the lessons and then just putting it out there, and healing from like understanding the traumas and moving past them, because they're almost like blockages when it comes to walking in your divine destiny, or that vision of that you have for yourself in the future. It's already there, but there's sometimes there's time, a month, 6 months, but sometimes it's a day where these things kind of happen. What is your experience with dealing with time and manifestation?
I love this. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, because I have had that exact thing happen, Derek, in my life, where sometimes it is instantaneous. Almost, I guess it's 2 years ago, this October, I was in my office and I was sitting there thinking about, I wish that I could get back into radio. I didn't have my radio show or podcast at the time. And I had done a couple guest spots for this gal in Greeley on her radio show. And I was just the local expert talking about postpartum depression, anxiety disorders, those kind of things. And so I was sitting there and I was like, God, please, help me know the way. I see myself doing this. How do I get back into radio? And literally 3 minutes later, I hear a knock on my door, and in walks who is now my producer, Chris Lamphere. And he sits down, he said, hey, I was just wondering, he worked for a local radio station here at the time, and said, would you be interested, in having your own radio show? And he said, I just about came out of the chair, because I was just like, oh my, that's exactly what I had just been, praying about and putting out there. So that instantly manifested into this wonderful thing. And I do believe that there is divine timing, and that, like Einstein, his theory of relativity. So we know that time actually bends in on itself. It's not linear. We experience it that way. But that right now, I mean, we're existing in the past, right now, in the present, and in the future. So these things are already manifest, they're already there. And so it's, if we can tap into that knowingness and know it's going to happen on its own divine timing, we want to be in alignment with it so that we can really experience it. And part of that is, like you said, allowing yourself to heal, doing the work that we need to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's through EMDR, it's not always going through a therapist. Sometimes it is just, an internal healing that happens. I think through meditation and prayer, that kind of stuff can happen. There's lots of mediums to help it.
Yeah.
But again, as we become clearer conduits, I think we see and we can channel that energy, and then we see it manifesting. But it is, my experience has been, its own divine timing.
How powerful is intention though? Like, cause you can do can do all the right things, but even for the wrong reasons, and it doesn't really work out for you in the end, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So when you're saying the power of intention, you're saying that even if this is my will, I want this to happen. I think if it's not in alignment, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I do think we have to be clear about what it is we do want to manifest in the world too. Yeah. That's part of that daily, as I talked about, the prosperity mindset. It literally is saying you're using positive present tense languaging to say, I am that already.
Yeah.
I am thankful for my speaking career. I am thankful for the popularity of my book. I am thankful for these amazing people who keep coming into my life and the daily miracles that show up. I think that through putting that out, it's the law of attraction, like you said, And in quantum physics, it's the boomerang effect. So what we put out, we get back.
Yep. For sure.
Some people call it karma, right?
Yeah.
But when we put out the intention of thought, then that is what we are bringing back to us.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Like, how important do you think finding that inner healing is? Because I talk about like, I just use my own life as an example. Like, if I was to be given a platform and reach as many people as I do with my podcast and things like that, when I was still dealing with my own inner, turmoil or rejection issues, like I got upset when people spoke out against me or didn't agree with me or whatever, and it would trigger me, right? And I would respond to that in certain situations, but I'm glad that I was able to get the healing and kind of work through that stuff and kind of see some of the triggers, which kind of show us that we have open wounds in certain areas. That, like, if someone was to want to like start a ministry, start a business and stuff, and they're dealing with all of this own inner healing that needs to happen, how important is it before stepping into that stuff? Because I feel like self-sabotage kind of follows that stuff for a lot of people. They'll build something and then they'll tear it down because of a trigger, because someone spoke out against them, and then they'll abort the whole mission or process. Or on the opposite spectrum, they'll work harder because people don't believe in them, and they won't abort something that they should, because people will look at them as a failure, or I told you this wasn't going to work out, knowing that they should back out. So I think that, like, going into whatever vocation it is that you want to do, like getting healing first is something that needs to happen. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think I agree with that. And then I want to take it one step further, because I think we have to all be on that mission to really focus on our own healing, so that you're exactly right. So our triggers don't sabotage us and the well-being and gifts that we can bring through to the world. And also, I think it's really important to note that healing is a continual process our whole lives.
Yeah.
I have clients that say to me, well, when do we arrive? And the truth is we never arrive, right?
Yeah.
We continue to have to work through whatever does become, up in our awareness. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about healing, though, that I've experienced in my life, is that as we continue to heal, it's almost like you go through a purification process.
Yeah.
And so the things that, we all look pretty good when we're by ourselves, and then it seems like we get in relationship or we get in something, and then all those things that are unhealed.
Yeah.
I always say love brings up anything unlike itself for the purpose of being healed. So that means all the, the things we call our shadow side, or the parts of us that don't feel good, but those are coming up, so we can look at them, and so we can heal them. And I do think that it's essential that we don't get down on ourselves either, and that we literally say, this is part of the process. I don't have to be perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be continually growing. I am in the practice of healing. Right.
Have you seen a rise in this field? Like, is this becoming more popular? I feel like there's so much more people who are like, they're wanting to do the inner work. Like, they're listening to podcasts like this, they're listening to motivational speakers and retraining the mind and moving past the hurt and things like that. And they're seeing how sexy it is to kind of do that inner work, and it's becoming popular now. Have you seen that within your own practice, that this is something that a lot more people are looking into now?
Absolutely. I think that too, one of our gifts right now is that there's been this beautiful merging in the last 15 years between psychology, spirituality, and science.
Yeah.
And so as those begin to merge and continue to merge, they validate one another. And so what that does is bring together these larger audiences that are going to be more open to it, because it's no longer just woo-woo, spiritual healing or being in touch with the divine, or some of these things that at one point would have been called just like new age, like getting a download is a lot of times what I call it, when we're meditating and it's like we hear this inner voice of God, that's our spirit or the universe directing us.
Yeah.
I think so. As people start realizing, like, as you mentioned, Bruce Lipton talking a lot about so many of these principles and how we can manifest things in our lives, He's a stem cell biologist. So as we get this kind of validation from these different principles, these different practices, I think it's opening it up to the masses. And I think that we are in a time of huge rising consciousness and awareness to counterbalance some of, I think, the heightened, well, I don't want to get political here, but just kind of heightened things that have come into our awareness through whether it was the Me Too movement or Black Lives Matter, or the things that have come up since Trump has come into the office.
Child trafficking is a big thing now.
Oh,
and
absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like, I think it's things that's always been there though, right? This isn't nothing new, but now we're able to see it more, and it's speaking louder. Gay rights and things like that. It's speaking louder. It's kind of rising to the top now. Something that needed to be almost like a wound that's kind of infected. Like, you got to deal with it. You have to.
Exactly.
If you're not, the body of people are going to be sick if you don't deal with this wound.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy, because that's true. So a lot of times, in order to get to the healing, we've got to rip off that scab and clean it out, right?
The triggers, man, the triggers are so awesome though. Cause like I find myself when I get triggered in it, a lot of it happens through like social media. Somebody will post something and I'll get upset, or, there's just a lot of things. It's like, hold on, why am I getting upset? Hold on, I shouldn't be upset over this, and trying to, like, getting to the bottom of it to, like, again, like, champion healing and wanting to be that spiritual individual, wanting to be that conduit for positivity and change. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people in this. And so the triggers, when somebody says something and it hurts, I know, the God thing is a huge one for a lot of my guests on here. I'll talk to people, and the moment I mention the Bible or God, they get sour faced. It's like, oh, why are you saying God? It's like, oh, so that's one of the interesting things when it comes to triggers. And like, but I like to follow them, because again, I think it's an open wound that someone's poking, and ow, that hurts. I'm triggered. It hurts when you touch it. And so I think it's a beautiful place in trying to seek out healing, is going towards the triggers.
Yes. And what you're reminding me of is there's this beautiful practice who Tara Brach, who has written tons of books, and brought really they called it Buddhist psychology into fashion, which really was this practice of going within. And she has this lovely acronym called RAIN, which is how to investigate exactly what you're talking about when those triggers happen. And really quickly, obviously, I think it's really important, because it's one of the things that helps me as well. When those triggers happen, it's not to move away from them. We have this natural aversion to pain. We want to move away from it. And if we can gently instead invite it in, there's so much wisdom in it. And so the R in RAIN is recognize. The first thing is to recognize it's even happening, right? To even be like, oh, I'm triggered. Like, this is something's going on within me. Yeah. Right. And then the A, this is the hard one for people. The A is allow. So to allow yourself to feel it, to know where it is in your body, to feel that uncomfortable feeling for a moment. The I is investigate. So that doesn't mean analyze. The A isn't for analyze. The I is to investigate with a gentle presence. What is this? What's being triggered right now? Can I bring love and compassion to myself to just hold whatever this is right now and recognize where's the root of this? And then to just be with it. The N in RAIN is natural presence. So it's actually breathing into the moment, just being with what is. And what's interesting is, as we pay attention to what the trigger is, it does this. The intensity, we actually then, it's like we befriend our emotions. We befriend what's going on inside of us. And then there's wisdom to be gained from it.
With the healing though, how do we achieve the healing? Again, like, it's something that is within. I believe that the divine spark is within, but I also believe that going within is like a portal to the throne room of God, if you will, like kind of the universe, right? Through meditation, we're able to access all of these different realms of the psyche and of the mind, and kind of, reconnect neural pathways and things like that. But what is it like if you was to do a session with someone? Is it regression? Is it kind of making peace with the younger version of themselves, or making peace with the person that caused that grief in your life? How is it done? Because there's a lot of different people who do it a lot of different ways, and a lot of them seem to be effective. And many times it's going back in, I don't know about reliving, but kind of speaking to that part, like accessing that part in your brain or in your memory, changing your relationship with it, speaking love. I mean, there's different ways that people go about it. What would you say is the place where we find healing for these past memories and mistakes and failures and things like that?
That's such a great question. I think that there are, like you said, there's many, many portals to healing. I think when someone's in my office, always the portal in the present moment is whatever's up for you. And so whatever's presenting itself, like we said, it's whatever's being brought up right now. If it's the trigger, if it's the pain, if it's a past memory, what I find is when we can bring love and compassion to ourselves in the present moment for whatever's coming up, that starts the healing. Because usually we're so critical of ourselves, and we're so ticked that we're even having this experience or this trigger. So oftentimes I think it starts with, like I said, befriending what our experience is in the moment. Now, because I do EMDR, and EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, it's a way that people are able to access past traumatic memories. And what happens through this reprocessing is that it separates the memory from someone's physiological experience of it. So it changes how it's held in the brain, how the trauma is held in the brain. So again, that's one way to heal from really deep pain and trauma. Derek, I don't think there's one size that fits all in healing.
Yeah.
I think everybody's got to find what way works for them. There are some things, though, that I do believe that are templates, if you will, to healing. And maybe that's your question.
Yeah. There's many modalities, and I think that they're all beautiful. Now, what about being intentional, right? So say like somebody who is looking for healing versus the person who just kind of happens to find it on the road, right? They're kind of on this road, then they in their life and everything's going good, and then they sit in on a breath work session, or let me just give this a try, and they're like, wow, this is bringing up some stuff I know that I need to deal with now, versus the person who is seeking it. Now, and I say that because there's two different realms. There is the person who's looking for it, and the person who's just like, let me see what you got, maybe, or does this really work? I know it's dealing with intention. Do you find a difference there? Because like the universe is set up in such a way that you find what you're looking for. Now, if you want inner healing, it doesn't matter who does it. You know what I'm saying? Whoever's facilitating it, whatever practice it is, you're going to find what you're looking for, versus the people who are just like, they were maybe recommended to you from a family member, say, hey, try this out. And they're kind of skeptical. Is there a difference in those sessions?
Absolutely. I do think it's true that, when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. So when someone truly is ready and they're like, I'm on my healing journey, I'm conscious, I'm aware, I want to be intentional, those people tend to move much more quickly. When I do couples therapy as well, and we joke about there's a dragger and a draggee, and so usually the person that's being drug into therapy, it's just like AA. Sometimes we have to get to that pain point before we're ready to do the work, before we're ready to heal. Because I imagine, as you know as well from your own life experience, healing also involves some pain. We have to look at some of those painful places within us and really go and access those points. So I think that when we're being forced, someone saying you need to heal, I don't care how many times people are shoved into treatment, it doesn't mean that they get better.
Yeah, that's true. I had a guy on here one time, and he'd been to like, I think it was 16 different rehab centers, And on the 16th one, it clicked, you know? He had to want it for himself. He didn't want it. He had to go there to get out of jail or beat charges or whatever the case is. But on the 16th one, like something clicked and he finally got his stuff together, you know, and kind of went through the process. And it's very, very interesting, especially when like we're talking about like AA or something like that. I remember just being in the church realm and stuff, like they would kind of like make fun of that and say, well, they'd say it takes 12 steps, and here in the church we say it just takes one step. Come to Jesus is the only thing you need or whatever. And we used to kind of repeat that, and people would be upset when their kids would try to go get treatment through AA, and the parents who were religious kind of discouraged them. Oh, you don't need that, son. You need Jesus. And like, hey, it's helping. It's working. Like, it's helping me. You needed Jesus. I need AA, right? So to be able to look at when it comes to healing, whether it's religion, I think there's a lot of healing that comes through religion and worship and community and things like that. There's a lot of ways to find healing, but to be able to approach a system like AA now and seeing the good that it's doing for people and looking at the 12 steps of like, if you're a Christian, you get into church and religion and you don't go through similar steps because they're all like biblical oriented almost. Forgiveness. Jesus said you need to forgive those who have wronged you or you won't be forgiven yourself and all of this stuff. And you kind of see how like it all mirrors one another in this place of I need a higher power. I need something greater than myself to help get me through this and seeing the beauty in whatever modality it comes in, right?
Exactly. You know, I used to be someone who also, I have to admit, I was like, yeah, I don't know if AA works. I'd never had to deal with it. And I've seen the journey the last 2 years that my adult daughter has been on through alcohol and addiction. And AA is what helped save her life. And to see her thriving and to see the miracle that she is today, that's it. And that's how she discovered her higher power. That is how she was able to find forgiveness for the people that had wronged her and forgiveness for herself and to be in touch with the divine. And now like sharing that, and that becomes her spark now that she shares with the world.
I think the same rules apply though, because you have to want it. You know, going through the motions is like, I'm here. Because, I mean, that, and so we'll say this. So with AA, you have a lot of people in that program who have to be there. You know, they're there because they're going to get a sentence cut or they're going to escape jail time or whatever. I've worked with some. But it's the ones who, if you really work it, again, going back to what I said a while ago, if you're looking for healing, it will come to you no matter what avenue you're looking for it in. So if you're wanting to work that and you want it to work, it's going to work for you. If you're there because you have to be, the same like church. There's people they're in church, they don't want to be there. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. Maybe the more you hear it and the more you kind of open up to it, repetition reduces resistance, you know, you begin to let your guard down and then it kind of gets in. The same with AA, but it's something that you have to want, right? You can't be forced into it. It's your own inner work that is your own responsibility at the end of the day.
Well, and I'm curious for you, Derek, what have you found when people are really resistant to healing? What helps to guide people towards healing?
Yeah, so I would say this has just been so when people want healing again, like I'm just a conduit. You know, I kind of help them go through the motions, what worked for me, finding that healing, and I just kind of assist there. The strange ones are when someone else is like, hey, my husband needs healing. I want you to do what you do to him. And he's like, hey, here I am. And it's like, okay. So I try to connect with them, just get them to open up. Maybe they'll talk about things with me that they won't talk about with anyone else. And so that just opens up. I mean, when it comes to healing, there's so many facets. Again, the scripture says that if we confess our sins one to another, that God is faithful and just to forgive us. So even speaking those things out with a counselor, someone who is going to listen to you, that's healing in and of itself. So if I'm able to talk to this guy who really doesn't want to be there, but now he's opening up to me, and he's not going to open up to his wife, he's not going to open up to coworkers, some of this deep stuff, even that by itself. So I look at every aspect and just kind of lead them in a meditation and stuff like that and say, you know, where it's lighter, because breathing exercises, as long as we got this hour for you to kind of let me have you for an hour. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel lighter. You're going to feel refreshed. Your burdens are going to be lifted, even if you don't want it. So if I can have you for an hour and you just listen, and, you're going to find it. So for me, that's what's been something as far as like people who are like, they're there because they have to be versus the people who want to be. The people who want to be, again, and I think money is as a symbol of faith and something that they want to do. But when people like book private sessions with Reiki healers and people who lead guided meditations and hypnotherapists and stuff, like, I think the money symbolizes, hey, I want this, I need it. And again, the universe responds to you find whatever you're looking for. If they want it, it's there. So you just have to be faithful with the, with the process and help them because they want it. And if they want it, they'll find it no matter who it is. It just happens to be you.
Well, and there is, I think, some magic and some alchemy that happen when we are that conduit for people, like you're saying. Even if they're not even aware, maybe there's a deeper part of themselves that they're not even consciously aware of that is moving towards healing.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that we are like, the trees in nature. If a tree loses a limb, it forms, a sap around it. It forms a scab. And so I do think nature is always going towards healing, and so are we internally. So how amazing it is to be that person that can do what I call open-hearted listening, when we can be that conduit for someone else who isn't even quite aware that they need the healing or they're ready for it, and to listen with that open heart, then we do become exactly that. We can become that conduit that allows that healing to come through and to touch that other person's life just by being able to be the listening ears for what they need to speak.
Yeah. The Bible says that God is not a respecter of persons. Like these, if it works for one, it will work for more. There's like, when you go to, someone says, if you get upset, if you get angry, just take a moment, take a deep breath. Like there's science in taking that deep breath in and just kind of being conscious and aware, not to act off of emotions, but act off of what is right deep down. So taking that second to take that deep breath really is helpful. So when we lead someone through breath work or through meditation where they're doing these exercises, it's going to work regardless. Now, it may be new to you, you may be skeptical, but how you feel when it's over, like the proof is in the pudding. It's all about the fruit and if it's working. And there's so much that works. Again, breath work is huge now. The Wim Hof method and people kind of having their own derivatives of that and incorporating it into meditation. Like even doing breath work before meditation amplifies it so much, and the breath is linked to your intention and thought and all of that kind of stuff. And it just creates this beautiful, for me, spiritual experience. But I think that what you're talking about and what I'm talking about together is really the science of the spirituality. It's like the science behind it because it works. It's not, it's not if, but when.
Yeah, and I have to say, when you bring up Wim Hof, I had a really cool opportunity 2 years ago. I got to see him at a Tony Robbins event in New York City. And that breath work is so essential. So if people don't know about the Iceman, I would absolutely recommend checking him out, because this is a guy who carves huge holes in the ice and goes 300 yards, under the ice. And he's able to do that and control his entire physiology through breath. And so after going to that event and learning how to do that kind of breath work, where you really are altering your physiology and you're switching from that primitive brain, which is a fight or flight, into this relaxed state. Oh my gosh, I had the coolest, I just have to share, experience of getting to test that out right after I learned it. And we were flying out of New Jersey and hit this horrible rainstorm where it was throwing the plane back and forth as we were taking off. And I was sitting beside a gentleman actually who was on a connecting flight from Egypt, and he was an MMA fighter. And at one point we look over at each other after about 15 minutes of this horrible, back and forth, and we're both gripping the seat in front of us, like for dear life. Jesus. And we were both scared. And at that moment is when I remembered, oh my gosh, I'm going to do Wim Hof's breath work. Right in the middle of things being so stressful, I could feel my fight or flight, just the anxiety rising, my heartbeat was rising, I was warm. I was shaky. I did those 40 breaths. And what was amazing to me is the plane was still doing the same thing. It was still jogging back and forth like that. But I had this incredible peace and calm about me. So I guess I want to share that just because I think it's really important that we can alter our state of being and we can come to a place of peace, which ultimately then adds to our healing.
Yeah.
When we're able to realize we do have an access point always in the present moment.
And it's within, again, going back to that, like, the world has this way of selling us and making us want things that are outside of ourselves and become something that we're not already. But again, it's knowing that you already are that thing that you wish to become. You already are. You just have to manifest it. And maybe it's down here. You just got to kind of get it out, right? And when I understood that, going back to what you said earlier, it's like it's really when breakthrough really happened. Just to understand that I'm not going to become a healer one day. I was able to kind of look over my life and see that I already am. It comes out through my music. It comes out through my podcast. It comes out through prayer meetings. It comes out through counseling. Like, it comes out through so much. So to think that I'm going to become something that I already am, it's just going to have me perpetually chasing something that I'm never going to get to. It's almost like a carrot that's being held in front of your face and you're just chasing it, but you never are able to grab it, but you already are. And to manifest those things and those desires that are already within you for a reason, like those thoughts and dreams are within you for a reason, and know that it comes from within and you already are. For me, it changed everything. I didn't have to become somebody. I had to learn how to manifest it and work through some things that was blocking me from receiving. But I think even so, it was for good reason. Because if I would have had that stuff that I was searching for, trying to create back then, I probably would have hurt a lot of people, ran a lot more people off, been irresponsible with a platform, things like that. But I knew that I had to get through some of these triggers and work through my own stuff, relationally even, to be able to. I had to put down some of the things that was in my hand, whether it was baggage or trauma, in order to pick up some more things that God had for me as well.
That's beautiful. I love it. And that's exactly it. Again, as we do our own healing, and I do think there's divine timing.
Yeah.
We can't push it either. I think we can be intentional about it, but we can't push it. And that we already are it. That is the essential message as well. We are already all that we want to be. So it is opening it up, opening ourselves up, becoming the conduit, and continuing to do whatever healing we need to do to get rid of those pieces that are going to get in the way or that keep us from actualizing who we already are and manifesting that in the world.
There's a beautiful song by Trevor Hall. I listen to him a lot, but it's a song called "You Can't Rush Your Healing." And it just talks about how darkness has its way of teaching us. There's things that we learn in the valley that we can't learn on the mountaintop. And there's things that grow. There's fruits and flowers and beautiful things that kind of grow down there that on the top of the mountain it doesn't grow. So this roller coaster ride of emotions and this journey of life, it's supposed to be a journey. If you're just on this desert land, sometimes you got to go through the desert. You go through the wilderness and think, listen, it happens. But it's a roller coaster ride of working through that stuff and understanding the beauty. And that's really what my book talks about, the beauty in the darkness and how it's set up for a reason. That, the Bible says that the things that the enemy meant for your good, meant for your harm, God will in turn use it for your good. So these darkness and these trials and these tribulations that are coming against you can be used as stepping stones towards your destiny. It's not that they can be, but that's why they were sent to you, to conquer them, to learn the lessons and help those other people who are going through similar stuff. It really helps with empathy, really, because it's not like you have to try to empathize. You have a natural empathy because you went through similar situations as well. Whether it was, I got a friend of mine now, the whole AA thing, he went through the process and is still going through it. It's a continual thing, but now he's teaching the classes and he's helping other people come to find and embrace their own healing. It's not that he has to, it's that there's a passion within him now that was transferred from going through that stuff and overcoming. And usually they say in the church, like a lot of different places you come from, whether what is the club scene or drug addiction or wherever it is, God kind of cleans you up and sends you right back to the same place which you came from, to go out there and bring set the captives free, if you will.
Well, I believe that. I believe that the places where we are broken, quote unquote broken, it's really where our beauty lies and where our largest gifts lie. And it is through that. I mean, it is those times where we're brought to our knees, and I can speak, through my own life to that. That opened me up to where I could be more loving, more empathetic. I could be more compassionate. I could bring a sense of mercy to those around me, because I'm seeing it through different eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really are our greatest gifts. And I just received this beautiful poem from a friend of mine, George Caponelli, and it was all about what really is gratitude for him. And he said, at celebrating his 77th Thanksgiving, what he realized is to have gratitude for it all, for the entire journey, not just the things that we say are blessings, and that, we have this beautiful home, or we have all these wonderful things, but thankful for the times where we felt broken, thankful for the times where we felt like I can barely make it. I need something bigger than myself to make it through.
Yeah.
And to be grateful for every hardship, because there is healing and wisdom within it. So we do have to go sometimes through those dark times.
There's
access those gifts.
There's something to be said for the individual who comes from a background of having a silver spoon and kind of having their parents really kind of like lording over them and protecting them and everything, versus someone who's had a lifestyle where they've had to struggle, or they come from poverty or come from nothing. There's different character traits that are developed, and some of the most interesting people. I mean, anyone who's doing the healing work, the majority of the people, like hands down across the board that I interview, have been people, again, we're talking about the natural empathy. They've went through some crazy situations. They haven't just had, everything handed to them, and like there's a natural empathy to do this. All the psychics and healers, and they're like kind of helping work to offset the negativity that they've experienced in the world, or the negativity that they've caused in the world. And even if it's deep down, I don't know if it's a debt to society, maybe it is deep down, maybe they're just wanting to offset the negativity and all the evil and things that are in the world. But people who are going through stuff, these situations and trials and stuff like that, it really does impart character to you as well.
Absolutely. I truly believe with all my heart that there's no way I could do the work that I do. And my job is literally to sit with people in pain all day long. And I really feel like what a gift, that I have to be able to hold that space. And the only reason I believe that I can do that is that, I have been through the most difficult things in my life.
Yeah.
And I was so privileged the first 13 years of my life to have such a lovely childhood. And then in an instant, literally in one night, having that all explode when it came out that my dad was having an affair with my best friend's mom, and my perfect little family all of a sudden was just destroyed. And so much drama that happened after that, for the next probably 10 years of my life was really hard. And there were times where, I didn't want to be here anymore because the pain was just more than I could bear. And being, dealing with then a father who had been totally devoted and totally connected with me, to all of a sudden him not being allowed to speak to me or spend time with me, and the deep scar that left within me that I carried around that sadness for a really long time. And so it's only through doing my own work and continually looking at the places that pain has, unfortunately, sometimes the pain manifests in ways, right? And being willing to go in and do that work and realize that all the strength, all the beauty, all the wisdom that I was seeking was not outside of myself.
Yeah.
like you said earlier, it was already inside of myself. I just had to excavate it and get past the pain of those childhood moments to access, then what are the gifts? What is the beauty then that I can discover within me that really is God inspired, which really is that spark. And so it is through those hard times. One of the things that I haven't mentioned is I had just got done putting on a summit here in Fort Collins where I had 11 of the people that had been on my show come to Fort Collins. And the whole thing was literally about how to ignite sparks within each other. And we filmed a documentary with an award-winning film crew, all state of the art. And that's what it was. We talked about, it was seeing these people who we look at and we go, oh, they're so evolved. They have all these books out, they're national and international presenters. They seem like they have it all together. But what the film really is about is what's behind that. What were their pain points? Because we all go through these difficulties, and those difficulties then become the match point that light us up and oftentimes become the greatest gifts then that we have to offer. So a lot of the film wasn't just these amazing presentations that they gave on October 26th of all this enlightened, and conscious awareness. It was individual interviews with them and this roundtable discussion about what was it that brought you to your knees? What was it that opened you up and changed your consciousness and changed your awareness? And powerful messages came through because every single person in there has been broken. Every single person in there has been brought to their knees where they felt like, they couldn't go on. And those pain points became the portals into consciousness, awareness, and giving.
Do you think this is something that is for everybody? Like, does everybody kind of follow similar paths to some extent, like holding that trauma, or is there anybody who's exempt? They've just been fed with the silver spoon. Let's not look at Trump. He did have money, but he was, he went through some stuff too. But maybe his kids, right? Trump's kids, right? And seeing the kind of people that they are, maybe. And this is just an example. But they're dealing with stuff too, right? They have these weird character flaws. Maybe having the silver spoon does some deeper damage than going through some deep trauma. Maybe like there's some things that you didn't get in the development process because you weren't allowed to go out there and play with the kids down the road or whatever the case is,
Well, it's true. And that's one of the things I have to say I talk about all the time in therapy is that nobody gets out of childhood unscathed. And none of us get out of this lifetime unscathed. The wounding may be different. So maybe somebody wasn't in poverty.
Yeah.
But like in the case of like Donald Trump, how much of an intentional father was he? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there's people that were born with the silver spoons in their mouth. And yet, those people have been my clients. I've had millionaire clients, and I've had people that were, CEOs and the tops of whatever their corporate ladder were. And yet the wounding is still the same. It's people that felt I was never important. My father never spent time with me, or my mother never spent time with me. No matter how successful this person was. I remember John Bradshaw, who brought all this inner child work. I think he was really popular maybe in the 70s or 80s. His own daughter was this hardcore alcoholic. And you think, here are these people that are these great healers, and yet their children are struggling. So yeah, I think no one's exempt. I think we all go through this journey called life and the school called life. And it's going to present every single person with challenges and heartache and ecstasy and joy. It's all this mixed bag, right? Yeah. And really, I guess that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it really is.
And we don't know from the outside. And I think that's an important point too, Derek, is that, we never know what's going on behind another person's eyes. And so they might look a certain way on the outside. There's a gentleman that I absolutely love, who's a mentally ill guy who hangs out at our local coffee shop. He is the sweetest soul in the world. I talk to him and engage him every single day that I see him. So he is no different than the guy who owns the coffee shop, who is the successful entrepreneur. We have to realize that we're all in this together, that really we're having a human experience. I love the thing that, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Yeah. That's it. And so to have compassion for one another and know that even though someone might have all the riches in the world. I think probably Donald Trump's one of the most wounded people in the world. I think, I think narcissism and these different things, it comes out of a narcissistic wound where we're
Yeah.
not seen,
Man,
where
that's deep.
we don't feel loved, we don't feel valued. And so I do think that's difficult. And when you talk about the Bible, I think, we're called to love our enemies.
Yeah.
We're called to bring compassion to them. So as we, I think, can look behind each other's eyes a little bit and drop into the places where we are connected, that's the essential piece. We've got to get to that place where it's all love. In the end, it's all love. And it comes out in all different kinds of ways. And we, through this world, manifest, unfortunately, sometimes pain and parts of ourselves that aren't pretty, that we don't like to look at. But when we can look at each other with a heart of compassion, kindness, empathy, we can find these connection points. And that in and of itself is tremendously healing, that we can actually help each other heal through that process.
Beautifully said, Stephanie James. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. Your new book is called The Spark, Igniting Your Best Life. I know you talk about everything we talked about today and more. It gets a lot deeper. Let people know where they can go to pick up a copy of the new book and check out your work.
It's you can get it it's on Amazon Books, and also you can go to thesparkbook.net and get excerpts from the book. And we're going to be putting up on that website some daily inspiration. So that's going to be a positive resource for folks. And come check us out too on thesparkpod.com.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. I've been checking it out as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Really enjoyed our conversation. I'd love to do it again. Just let me know when you got something coming out. We'll get on here and talk about it. I love it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Derek.
All right. Many blessings, my friend.
You too.
Right,
bye-bye.
Stephanie James, ladies and gentlemen, you can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teachings. Man, again, I think I mentioned it, and there's a couple people in the chat who are like, yeah, I'm with it. Like talking about healing and wanting healing for certain situations and things, and people are doing it, like doing the inner work, just wanting to figure out what it is. And it's almost a fun thing now. I say it's fun. It could be dark and scary as well. But once you kind of get used to it, you kind of know how the process works. You're like, something's not sitting right. What is it? Is it me? Is it them? Reverse the roles. Put the shoe on the other foot. What are you triggering in that person? A lot of times when people lash out at us, it's because we represent something that they are not confident with, or something that they don't like about themselves. People lash out, whether it's a form of freedom, you're more free, you're more open, you know who you are, and they're still struggling with identity, but then you know who you are. Like, that's intimidating, to be around somebody confident, to being around somebody who is financially successful, somebody who is like in the flow, and you're trying to get out. So you lash out. You may, take shots at them. You may post obscure Facebook posts or whatever the case is. But you have to catch yourself. Hold on. Like, why am I doing this? Because we're doing it to other people, and other people are doing it to us. I believe that there's people who are maybe even created in this simulation, this school, who are created to bring things out of us, and created to deposit some things in us to help us get to the bottom of that's a gift, man. The darkness and all of this stuff we're going through, it's a gift. Like, you're not, again, it's about doing the inner work, because people, all they see is the finished product. All they see is the you right now. They don't see what was going on when you were 14. They don't see what was going on within your heart when your dad walked out on you for your best friend's mom. They wasn't there. 20 years later, 30 years later, they're there watching you on this interview and judging you off of that, but they don't know the inner work that you've done. I talk about this all the time, because you don't know what somebody's going through. People are fighting battles that you know not of. And I believe in karma, man, as far as you reap what you sow in this life. I'm not talking about what you did in the past. That's beyond my expertise. But I'm talking about what you do in this life that you're responsible for. People are fighting battles, and people are in these situations, and they're trying to rebuke the devil and thinking it's demons and outside sources, but you haven't even dealt with no demons. You're just dealing with the karma that you've created for yourself. You're reaping what you sow. Be ye not deceived. Whatsoever a man soweth, he will also reap. So you're like still dealing with the repercussion of what the stuff you've put out there. You know, when you're going through that stuff and what you want, begin to do that. You want cool friends in your life who are encouraging, who support you. Guess what? Be a cool friend to someone else. Encourage someone else. Support someone else. And I guarantee you the way the universe works is that things will align themselves to come into your life. You wouldn't be able to hold back the blessings in your life. Again, people are already master manifestors. You're already good at it, but you've just kind of manifested by default. You've manifested the friends in your circle. You've manifested your job. You've manifested your spouse. You've manifested all this stuff just by default. Now, what happens when you become conscious of that manifestation process? That the power of your thoughts, the power of the divine mind, of the power of your words, the power of, man, your image, what you put out there. You know what I'm saying? Like being conscious of that and say, you know what? The person that I want to become, it's already in here, but that person wouldn't respond this way. That person wouldn't do this. So let me not do it now. Let me do that and be able to step into your gift, be able to step into your calling, whatever that may be. Again, God is not a respecter of persons. God is not a man that he should lie. Like, this is good for everybody. If it's good for me, if it worked for me, it's going to work for you. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. And so begin to look for the beauty. Begin to look for the awe. Begin to look for the wonder in everything. The triggers, man, they exist for a reason. They really do. They're good. I want to do a Q&A. Anybody in the chat has any questions, or you want to get my take or my opinion on anything? I haven't done one of these in a while. So if anybody has any questions in the chat or want to get my opinion, I will try to answer some of those. So go ahead and just type it in Facebook and YouTube. I'm watching. I know people are watching on Twitch and Periscope and stuff too. And, yeah, Twitch gets a lot of trolls. I'm probably about to stop streaming on Twitch, or at least stop showing the chat here on screen. Too many trolls. But anybody has a question, go ahead and put it out there. I want to say, man, and just reiterate some of this stuff. Like people, some people will only walk with you so far. Some people are in your life only because of what they can get, what you have to offer. And if it lines up with what they're doing, and once you don't have anything else to offer them, they're done. I know a lot of people in the church realm. What can you offer us? You can sing, we'll put you in the choir. You can play guitar, get on stage. We're not going to pay you. But once you quit playing guitar, you're just another person, another face in the crowd. Again, the church realm acts a lot like that as well. Any religion or any club, church is definitely one of them. But I talk about these scenes that people are in. Whether you're in the drug scene, you're in the club scene. I used to be in the music hardcore scene, heavy metal. We did concerts and shows, and I had friends that every show I went to, we hung out with these same people. I only knew them at the show. We would exchange numbers and talk a little bit here and there. But while I went to the show, I was like, hey, you were at the other show. Yeah. And we have these you're kind of like, you walk together based upon your common interest, what you have in common. And then once you don't have that stuff in common no more, it's over. Like, was they really a friend, or was they a friend conducive to what you had to offer or what y'all had in common? Like, again, whether it's alcohol, like going out drinking every weekend, and you have those friends who you drink with, or you smoke pot with, and you get up and you smoke pot with them. Like, that's what all y'all do. And if you don't have anything else to offer them, any more drugs or alcohol or a good time, whatever it is, if I don't play in a band anymore and I don't go to shows, well, I don't really have much to offer you for what you're looking for. So people kind of like attracts like, and we find ourselves in these people groups. I believe that the true call of a light worker is a call to balance. It's not too much on the left. It's not too much on the right, but it's this middle passage that we must walk. The Bible calls it the narrow road, the narrow path. The Old Testament calls it the highway of holiness, to be on this perfect path. And there's people who are going to walk with you a little while. They're going to jump off. Holla. They're going to jump off because you have nothing else to offer. Jesus went through it. Right, there's people who came and they walked with him for a certain time. He gave them some information that was a little bit too deep. They jumped ship. They left. No, that's too crazy for us. He would hit them with this knowledge. But for those who asked the deeper questions, those who wanted to get to the bottom of what he was talking about, they were able to get the gems and walk even further. There's a middle passage. It's a balance, and it's hard. It really is, because it's the way of the lonely ones, which Manly P. Hall speaks about. Now, I believe that we have friends. I believe in community, but you can't please all the people all the time without sacrificing or selling yourself out or selling yourself short. Those people in your community who accept you for you and your differences. I tell you one thing, God, Jesus, accepts you for you. So there's no, you have to be this to be loved, or you have to do this to fit in, or you have to act like this to be around us, like a gang or a social club or whatever. That's not the higher power. There is no respecter of persons. But going through these scenes with people, and you're only good if you believe what we believe, or you're only good until, dealing with a lot of the church people now. I have a lot of Christians in my circle now, and it's scary. Because the minute that you mention something that goes against their belief, they're done. Any religion, anybody who is just like really staunch on their beliefs, you have to be like water. Vanna says, how do you make peace with those people? You have to be like water. You cannot take it personal. Go back to, the 4 agreements. It's not personal. The Bible says that, our battle is not with flesh and blood. It's not that person. It's something that person's dealing with. It's gossip. It's a wrong vision that they have of you. A persona that they're perceiving that's not even true. They just believe it. And it's not even you. But the middle passage of the light worker, it is balanced. It is lonely at times. Again, we have community. And I think that's why we long for that. We long for community. We long for tribe. But it's so hard, because it's like if you speak out against this, or you believe that, then you're gone. I mean, it's in the church again. It's in the spiritual communities. But being open, man, and working through this stuff together is the most beautiful part. Chris Garner says this is why I say zeal can be dangerous. Having a zeal without knowledge, the Bible says, is dangerous. Like having that zeal, but having knowledge, like when to speak. Like I have knowledge about a lot of stuff. A lot. I've studied so much, and I'm not tooting my own horn. You guys are well studied as well. But you can use that knowledge for your own detriment. But asking God, asking the Creator for wisdom on how to share your knowledge is key. I knew a guy one time, he would just spew it out. He was smart, but he would do it. It was his trigger. Like he would just lash out on people. It was almost like if he's seen a young baby, he would just tell the kid, one day you're going to die. This world's going to rip you off, and people are going to cheat you and steal from you, and you're going to have disappointment like a kid. It's like, why would you do that? Like, most likely that's going to happen, but why would you take that innocence and why don't you? I believe we're supposed to have wisdom on how to share this knowledge. And I've messed myself up in the past and throwing stuff out there or saying this is the truth, whether you like it or not, and you see other people coming up kind of in those footsteps, but being at peace with all people, regardless of what they believe. I think there's so much beauty in finding our differences and we're still able to walk together. There's so much beauty in that. And I feel like that's Christ. I feel like that's the body of Christ that's not glorified in us saying the same thing, being lemons, but us coming together with our differences and saying, look, we exist for the greater good. Any powerful movements that have ever happened was usually with other groups of society coming together, joining forces, working to get, even in the gang culture, like Nipsey Hussle and the things that he did. He brought the Bloods and the Crips together. There was always these two sides coming together, the whites and the blacks coming together, different races coming together, and there was power in numbers and there's power in unity, but there's something there about the division. Saying, look, I know we don't agree on everything, but let us walk together in peace. Let this be our message. And you find, whether it's religious people or whoever, they kind of be careful of people just wanting to pick your brain. They're looking for things they disagree with. What do you feel about this, man? What about this? I had a guy I used to talk to, man, and every time I talked to this dude, I felt like he was recording me to use later in some video. I know it sounds paranoid or whatever, and I would tell him, I say, I feel like you interviewing me every time we talk, in an interviewee way, not in a friend way. Every time I talk to this guy, I feel like he was recording me. And I asked him, I said, bro, are you recording me? No, why would you say that? Why would you? No, you're just paranoid. This sounds like an interrogation. People try to get to the bottom of your belief. I've talked to Christians and they're on this weird stuff, do you believe that Jesus was God or the Son of God? Do you believe that we speak in tongues? Do you believe in this and that? And they're just, okay, and they got a checklist. Okay, he believes this, and he'll go with everything until they find out what you don't agree with. Oh, you don't believe this, huh? You don't believe that? And then it's okay, you're done. They're that's their trigger. They're looking for people who believe exactly like them. And in that guy who I felt like was recording me, I don't think he was recording me, but he definitely took my differences and things that I told him and shared them with the world. So he was recording me in here and took and shared the information with people and things to try to ruin me or tell people what I really believe and who I really am and stuff like that. So you got to be careful when people are just going through and they want to find what they disagree in. I was that's crazy. That's wild. Look for, what about the stuff we agree on? What about it? There's a lot, but you stuck on these couple little things. Look, if you don't want me to talk about this around you, I'm not trying to force it on you. I just there's a reason I believe this. There's years of study. There's years of experience. There's knowledge that was imparted, and there's a reason that I believe this. And if you was there with me, you would have felt the same way. But you've not experienced that, and that's fine. I understand it. I understand why you don't believe that. You ain't never seen it. The crazy stuff we talk about and stuff I talk about in my book, and we talk about aliens and UFOs. Why would I want you to take my word for it if you've not experienced something? Experience, gnosis, is the best teacher. Knowledge gained through experience. You know something to be true because you've experienced it, and no matter what someone tells you, it's not going to change it because you know firsthand. And nobody can take that away from you, your experience. The path of the light worker, again, is the middle passage. And we're not alone. It feels like it many times. Some people are going to walk 7 months with you. They're gone. Some people are going to walk 3 steps with you. They're gone. Most people are going to just sit there and look, and they're not even going to join you on your journey. There are people who are going to see it through with you. I believe there'll be people on that journey with you who will finish it with you. They're in it for the long haul. I had one guy, good friend of mine, when I was going through this whole awakening process, coming out of religion and stuff. And I would try to blow his mind on just to see what it was I can tell him to okay, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I would tell him stuff about the Bible and stuff that I've studied and what I believe. And he might not agree with it, but he was there. He was a true friend. He still is to this day. And I've really religious guy, hard upbringing, religious, strict. I'm talking about no TV, no nothing. And I would tell him stuff and be like, okay, this is what's going to get him when I tell him this, because he believed this his whole life. When I say this is what I really believe, oh, okay, I don't know. We've talked about this before, blah, blah, blah. But they still there, man. There's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And we're supposed to be that for other people. There are people who are on this journey with you who are in it for the long haul. They're just there. And there's those other people, as soon as you disagree with anything, you become a threat to their leadership. You become a threat to their pockets, their audience. I mean, I've dealt with that. I begin to teach other things, and they would take it to their leader, and they say, hey, TruthSeekah says something about an alien. Aliens are demons. Don't listen to him. And he'd do a public statement about me. I was like, that's weird. Why would you do? You could disagree all you want. Why would you lash out and do a public statement? That's very weird, actually. So you deal with people because you trigger them. You touch their pocketbooks, they trigger. The path of the mystic, the path of the healer, the path of the light worker is the middle passage. Again, when we look at religion, where's the truth? Is it Christianity? Is it Islam? Is it Hinduism? A lot of beautiful stuff in Hinduism, y'all. It's somewhere right down the middle. It's right down the middle. Don't even in Christianity, let's split them up into denominations and factions, and let's make them fight against each other. Let's make rival factions, and let's destroy this thing from the inside out. Why do you think there's a lot of people falling away from religion right now? Because of that. It's a little bit. It's here a little, there a little. It's that everything, to the pure, all things are pure, but not everything is beneficial unto you. Here a little, there a little. Looking at politics. Is it all right? Is it all left? The smart person is like, look, you got some good stuff here. You got some good stuff there. But you're way off on that. You're way off on that. It's somewhere right down the middle. And why? But the middle passage is like, it's the road of the few. Many are called, but the chosen are few who can stay on that path and walk in balance and walk in love for both sides. The Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. The middle path are the peacemakers who are trying to make peace between the right and the left, who are trying to make peace between Islam and Christianity, who are trying to make peace against white and black, friend or foe, Bert and Ernie, blood of Crips. Blessed are the peacemakers. There's a blessing in it for you. Stay there. There's so many reasons not to. There's so many reasons for you to take a hard stand against this. There's so many reasons for you to take a hard stand against that. But you find out when you do, there's even more people. Like studying this whole YouTube thing and audience, and I've seen my numbers go up and down and algorithms change and all of that kind of stuff. There's something they say that for a successful YouTuber or for a successful anybody, preacher, is being on the path of a contrarian, taking that hard stance against somewhere else, not being like, hey, let's look and see the good in it. Let's see the bad in it. In all things. That's my stance. In all things, there's good, there's bad. But the path of the contrarian is to say that all of this is evil, all of this is good, one side or the other. And those channels or those preachers even, they seem to flourish, even if they're weird stuff. Even if they're like there's some weird preachers and crazy doctrines, but they're really staunch on it. This is their message. You know what you get. And we can build on it. But for the person on the middle passage, the middle path, it's here a little, there a little. In the chat here, they're saying, to thine own self be true. Know thyself. Chris Garner says drama sells. It does. I mean, it sells so much that people will fake beef. They will fake, like rappers do it, right? They act like they're against another rapper. They'll act like they have an ought against people. And again, I knew people who did it and it was fake, but it got views, it got clicks. I did a video, a couple years ago, just jokingly. I hired an actor. It was only like $5-10, but he was like a preacher, and it was a video of him exposing me. TruthSeekah Exposed. It was when I started getting into the spiritual path and talking about, doing my music and stuff like that. And the title of the video was TruthSeekah Exposed, and that video got more clicks than any of my stuff, because people wanted to see the drama. They wanted, but then other people showed up to like my rescue. Oh man, don't listen to him, TruthSeekah. Man, I know you're doing the right thing. But it's like those videos get more click. Drama sells. It's part of the clickbait stuff. And the path of the light worker is the middle path, y'all. It's not right or left. It's right down the middle. It's not this or that. It's a little here, a little there, a little. So, man, that's just been on my spirit a little bit again. Like people are, like I said, like people are going to walk with you so far until they hear something. I mean, I think that there's good things though. Like if something's bad, somebody's doing wickedness, yeah, you need to cut them off. Like if somebody's hurting people, yeah, you need to cut them off. But if not, the Bible says that one of the fruit of the Spirit is long suffering, being able to suffer a long ways with someone, regardless of what they believe, regardless of what you don't agree with. You're able to walk with them a long ways, and you grow together. You learn from each other. They bring out the best in you. There's this thing where like religion is big on it, or just social media in general. So many people like ghosting. Like they won't even talk to you. They just like unfriend you and you just don't even know it. Or it's so weird. Like people will be with you one day, then the next they're gone and you never hear from them again. It's crazy. Religion is a big reason for that. It's because you believe that Jesus was the Son of God and not God, or you believe that, whatever it is, and you'll never hear from them and you don't even know why. I deal with it all the time. And all I can do is be open and honest about what it is, and help you guys get through it. 'Cause it does hurt. It hurts for sure, but it hurts because it's a trigger. But understanding that middle passage, look, it comes with the territory, guys. Get ready. It comes with the territory. If you ain't, I think most of y'all are ready though. You guys know what I'm talking. I think I'm preaching to the choir, but it's just exposing it, vocalizing this stuff. Gothic Mystic says, a very religious mindset is to believe that only your way, your opinion is the truth. Causes division and separation. Yep. Flying Penguins. Martin says ghosting sucks. Yeah, it does. People don't like, and I don't like it. So people don't like tension and controversy, and they don't like confrontation. So you rather just cut them off and tell your friends and tell your people stay away from them. I've been dealing with it since day one. I've always been like outside of the box. And I know many of you are too. So I know just being honest with my story helps you. I mean, that's all I've ever done, just to be honest. And it helps. Why would I hold something back? Like, why would I hold it back? Because I don't think you're ready for it. Well, you might not be. And hence the ghosting, hence the gossip, hence the drama, hence the, okay, I can't go no further. I mean, you gotta look at the positive and negative of it. Like, when it comes to like the secrets and the mysteries and things like that, that's why the Illuminati get a bad rap, because they hold these secrets back to the initiated. You have to prove yourself. And then even, there was things that Jesus said, look, there's some things I want to share with you that I can't right now because you can't handle it. But then again, there's other times where he was like, look, I'm not going to withhold anything from you. Those who wanted to know, he gave it to them. When they were ready, they understood it. There was stuff that maybe like years ago somebody told me, and I was like, it was just so hard to swallow. I maybe even thought it was demonic, and did the parting of ways myself. I said, nah, I got to stay away from that guy. He's crazy. And then years come and circumstances and situations and study. You're like, wow, dude wasn't so crazy after all. He was closer to the truth than I thought. And truth has its way of working on our hearts. But I haven't done that. I don't withhold anything. Maybe I should. I don't know. Probably. Someone told me I should have made 2 different versions of the book, Spirit Realm. I let it all out. Why would I hold it back if I think that it can help you? They thought I should make a Christian version and a New Age version. I don't know if they wanted me to make 2 versions of the same book and just take a couple things out and say, okay, you get this one and you get that one. Like, is Christ divided? No, like I can't. Trust me, I cannot divide my work. It has to be together. I've tried different names and different, here, you get the Christian version, you get the not. Like, it is what it is. Truth is truth at the end of the day. Whether you believe it or agree with it or not. You don't have to believe it. It's my truth regardless. It's your truth regardless. Because you believe it, it becomes truth. No matter how right or wrong it is. The universe works in such a way that you find what you're looking for. You create it. As you believe it, you receive it. Begin to confess it. You begin to manifest it. Things and situations and friends and people and ministry and jobs and lovers, and you created it. You manifested it to yourself and you didn't even know it. You're in this simulation. You're in this world where, the things that you look at are changing because of the way what you believe and what you've read and what you've come to expect, even out of people or out of religious people or church people or whatever the case is. Like Gothic says, people can't handle the deeper and more powerful stuff. I believe it's why children and kids are generally not allowed or taught certain things because they don't have the restraint needed. Yeah, I put it out there, and come whatever may. Like, if it's for you, you'll get it. I don't have to trick you. I don't have to convince you. I don't have to beg you to listen. We're an hour and 33 minutes into this episode. The guest has been gone for a good 30 minutes. Like, there's something there, right? I'm not like begging you to stay. There's something that you resonate with. And and it's honesty. It's gotta be. I would hope. That numbers don't stay because of honesty. Let's just get that straight. Numbers stay because a lot of times you're hearing what you want to hear. And if that be truth, and if that be love, and if that be understanding, then we're good, right? But people pay people to listen, to tell them what they want to hear every day, and there's the what I'm saying. The negativity sells, debating sells. People beg me to debate people on here too. Go in on them. Do a pod. You need to check Jordan Maxwell when he says this. Blah 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 blah. You need to do that. You need to do that. And I'm sure if I did, it would get more views. It would get more. That's not my calling, man. I've done it. I've done it in the past, but moving forward, it's definitely not the way to go. Not for me. I'll let you have that. You get Jordan Maxwell on your show and you debate him. You start a podcast, ask him to come on, and you debate him. Flying Penguin says, I do believe we sometimes have to distance ourselves from abusive people. We don't have to slam them, but we also don't have to stay in fellowship with folks that intent on doing harm. For sure. Yeah. No, if people are doing harm, and it just depends though, because even that is up to your interpretation. You know what I'm saying, of what harm is. And I'm just thankful that we have a lot of eclectic people here who are in it for the long haul. You know what I'm saying? Like a community, not just watching a podcast, but literally like doing life together. You know what I'm saying? And being here and listening to one another and fellowshipping and stuff like that, because without it, you know, people would be gone in a heartbeat. And there's people who are. You know, there's people who would listen to an episode with a psychic, and they just see that word psychic, they're done. I don't believe in psychics. Psychics aren't of God. I'm not listening to it, and I'm unfriending you, TruthSeekah. You know what I'm saying? But I find there's beauty in the that we're an eclectic bunch, and we all have something else to offer, something else to bring to the table, like to learn from one another. You know? I'm trying to go through some of these comments here. Richie says, honestly, I agree. You are legit, sir. Love you, Richie. You're awesome, bro. And it's not just that you agree with me. I got beautiful people that I disagree with, and they disagree with me, and we talk about it. We don't debate. They still show up for family gatherings. They come over and hang out. We have a couple drinks. We talk about it. We disagree. It doesn't matter. Like the Jewish tradition, that's what they did. They loved to debate, but it wasn't like, I'm going to cut your head off because you're a threat to my pocketbook, or you know what I'm saying? Like being able to walk with people, man. Lemmings. You know, that's where the triggers come from anyway, is when you find somebody who reminds you of yourself. They look just like you and they talk like you, and you know. Let's see, Gothic Mystic. Let's see, let me just read some of these. Okay, so Lilu says, no, I disagree with some concepts. You don't always say what I like, but I listen because you confirm so much. For sure. No, that's the big thing. Like if you can stay long enough, it just shows that you're open to other ideas, and you're not just looking for a company of yes men. Like people just kind of affirming what you already believe. And I mean, there's those people too. And we have to be careful that we don't have all those people in our corner, right? Of people just like, yeah, you're just doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. Andrew Mendoza says, the closer you get to God, the more you are see-through, transparent. Keep up the hard work, being vulnerable to the brothers, strong at the same time. Yeah, man, that's a big thing. You know, I'm big on that, is the fact that like we're powerful. We're spiritual beings. We know who we are, but we're weak and we're vulnerable and we're open and honest at the same time. I think that that's where a lot of the power comes from, is being open and being broken and just being a person, right? Garner says, then they turn into rage clips. Yeah, no sense of doing that to someone, especially someone you respect. Yeah. Lilu says, I unfriend everybody, nothing personal. Yeah. It's crazy. Tamu says, I am here, not Christian, but absolutely enjoy and learn. For sure. Yep. Let's see if we got any other comments here on Facebook. Kenneth says Derek's throne room meditation is great, by the way. For sure. Y'all check it out. Man, honesty, don't feel so alone, man, on this middle walk. It again, I think it feels alone. You're not alone. You are not alone. You may feel like you're alone. You may need another perception. You may have another point of view, another standpoint, and look at the same situation. Look at your situation through the eyes of others. That may help you walk with compassion. How do others view you? How am I coming off? That definitely is like this inward self-reflection thing that we do. But You're not alone. It's the middle passage. I believe it's for everybody. I don't think it's a lemming. I don't think it's repeating what other people are saying. I don't think it's believing it just because of the masses believe. You know what I'm saying? But it's about your own uniqueness, individuality, being yourself and bringing that to the table, and others seeing the beauty in that, as long as you're not being a pompous prick, as long as you're not a know-it-all, you know what I'm saying? As long as you're not hurting people, taking advantage of people, you're not walking in manipulation, which there's a lot of people doing that. So you got to be on guard. So you have to, you have to be careful. So Javier says, love all y'all, making this cold weather work bearable. For sure, brother. Peace and love. Vanna says, see, I got so much from this and so many other podcasts, but I don't entertain aliens. Just not my thing. But if I judged you on that, I would have missed so much. For sure. Yeah, there haven't been a lot of alien talks on here lately, but I need to get some more. They're fun. Well, I mean, I interviewed the lady from E.T., so that was big. We talked about aliens, but not so much. She didn't want to talk a lot about aliens. I just wanted to talk to her about aliens. She had something to say, right? It was good, but she wanted to talk more about healing, right? Deb says, are you still doing Sunday morning meditations? No, we're not doing them right now. Not doing that right now. I'm gonna especially coming to the first of the year, I'm gonna offer some more stuff. We are doing retreats and stuff, so I'm hosting men's retreats, and my wife is hosting the women's side of it. So we're doing retreats that are coming up here in the Mobile, Alabama area. Excuse me, if you're interested in that. But I do want to. I want to start doing some more stuff, whether it's our Wednesday night prayer group or whatever. I want to start taking callers again. So there's so much more that I'm going to be kind of rolling out here and trying to find the best way to do it again. Like everyone who's supporting, no matter, especially right now, like in the holiday times, it means so much. I get donations from people, and people come through and really put their money where their mouth is, and really, believe in the work that we're doing here. And I couldn't do this without your help, and it's really coming in clutch right now, because I'm moving into some things that it looks like, my cost of hosting and things like that is going to double or triple within the next month or so. And it's kind of stepping into anything big. It's definitely scary. So the support on Patreon and just buying the merch, all that stuff, really, it means the world that you guys believe in what I'm doing, just because, like, stepping in new territory, and it's like, it gets more expensive doing this stuff, which is the crazy thing. So thank you guys for that. And I'm going to introduce some new stuff, and I really want to lay out a course and really work with some people, like take some people under my wing who are like just ready to manifest this stuff, and let me, just really do the work. Do the inner work, and move past the blockages. I'm working on some stuff now. Move past the blockages. Find that vision of who you are, what you want to accomplish, what you want to birth and manifest. Find out the giants that are standing in the way. Chop their heads off, like King David did, and step into the promised land for your life, whatever it is. If it's a podcast, if it's a healing modality, a business, a healing ministry, whatever it is that you want to start, I want to help people embody that for their own lives. So I'm working on a course right now to move into 2020 with, and so I want to make sure that it's something that's going to be good. And so everything that I've experienced and everything that I've encountered here on the podcast, I talk about so openly, like I want to work with you and do it and help you, like, work through this stuff. Like I share this stuff freely and openly, and I do private sessions and stuff like that with people, but really want to help you embody this stuff and manifest it for yourself, man, for sure. Let's see. So Home Sauce says, I'm here for the ET contact only. So the only reason he's here is for the ET stuff, right? So we're an eclectic bunch, man. We're an eclectic bunch. Padawan says, I like the word pump. I wish it didn't mean what it does. The restorer, the new juice, the water of life, give you fresh juice. Okay, for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna roll out some more stuff. Javier says, I'm not where I can donate right now, but I definitely have been spreading the work with friends and family. You're organic, and that's contagious, brother. Moving to heal and see my own flaws, for sure. And that means more than financially supporting sometimes, So every little bit helps, no matter what you do. Praying, guidance, sharing, all of that stuff, man. Deb says the course sounds very interesting, for sure. So Lilu says, my nerve is raw. I can hear chuckling and laughing from the hallway. I think they jeering dogs, scoffers and jeers annoy it, for sure. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. I really enjoyed it. Again, a bunch of new stuff I'm trying to roll out here for 2020. If you would like to support, Patreon is the best way to help me continue this great work. If you believe in what I'm doing, again, give where you get your blessings, man. Give where you get your blessings. If you're blessed from this, if the podcast has helped you sow into it financially, if you're able to, it really means the world. We're going to be stepping into some new territory, reaching out to new people, new audiences. Again, I've been talking about this for a while, but to do that, it's going to cost more money, and it's getting pretty expensive to do that, paying for the hosting moving forward. So if you believe in my work, please donate to the cause. Please support via Patreon, whatever it is. It really does mean the world, and it really does help. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Buy the book. This is opening up so many doors for me as well. Thank you guys for the support on that aspect. And it's not just giving. I'm giving back. Like, as far as the podcast is one thing, it's free. But the meditations, you get access to that. You get access to the Thursday night School of the Mystics. Like, I've tried to make it conducive so much for you that you are able to receive way more than you give. And that's how it works, right? Keep pouring out, keep pushing, keep creating content, valuable conversations, valuable information, community, which is priceless. So thank you guys for all the support. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom for this podcast. Again, also, you're going to hear a commercial right quick. In the outro, there's ad opportunities if people would like to promote their book, if you would like to promote your music, whatever it is that you have or service that you already have going on. Go to TruthSeekah.com/advertise, and there you'll see different options that we have available for advertising on the show as well. So with that, again, peace and shalom, and love you guys. We'll do it again very soon. Peace, peace.
Have a book, product, or service you'd like to promote? Look no further. Ad slots and commercials are now available for you to get the word out about what you do on the TruthSeekah podcast.
Give you what you need.
Engage the spiritual community and get yourself instantly in front of thousands of listeners who explore the spiritual, paranormal, supernatural, religious, and metaphysical realms. Have your commercial inserted into our entire archive of episodes. That includes the one with Jordan Maxwell, James Gilliland, Dr. Michael Heiser, and that weird one with Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Stop sleeping on yourself. Know your worth. Let's get the word out today about what you have to offer. Head on over to TruthSeekah.com and click on Advertise for more info.
Your will so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine. Your will so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.